For so many people, they wait until financial conditions are absolutely perfect until they pull their retirement trigger, which is smart. You want to make sure financially that you have all your ducks in a row and you have enough saved, and your plan says that you can comfortably retire without having to worry about unretiring, especially if financial conditions deteriorate at some point during your retirement. However, there is another subset of people, a subset of pre retirees who have more than enough. They're in great financial shape. And in a number of different ways, they can be shown that they can retire tomorrow with ease and a tremendous amount of confidence, and that they don't have to go to work or save anymore. They've reached the top of that mountain, and yet they still decide that they want to continue to work because they just don't know if they're ready to hang it up yet. That is a very common conversation that I have with many of my pre-retiree clients, where over and over again we talk about how they financially are in position to be able to retire, but they just don't know if they're actually ready to do so. Hi, my name is Derek Delaney. I'm a certified financial planner, and these are the type of conversations I have with my clients for a living. So, if you're somebody who has spent your entire life getting up, going to work, saving, in hopes that someday you can retire with comfort and ease, and now you're at a point where you have achieved that, you crossed the finish line, but you're still finding it difficult to pull that retirement trigger, here are 3 reasons you can look for in order to help push you across that finish line and finally hand in your retirement request to your employer. Reason number 1 is you are getting to the point in life where time now is becoming far more valuable than money. You've worked your entire life, you've struggled to bring home enough to keep your family comfortable and in order to pay for all those future big goals. Now all the future big goals have been accomplished. You have a house, you don't have a mortgage anymore. Your kids have gone off to college, they're taken care of. They have kids of their own where now you're a grandparent. You don't have any debt left and you have more than enough money saved in order to comfortably retire and live the life that you want. That additional paycheck and that additional amount of money saved is not even close to being as important is as time available in your life to do the things that are important right now outside of your work. And if that's something you're running into now, believe it or not, that squeeze point in life where time is becoming more valuable than money is only going to accelerate and get bigger and bigger as you age. It's never going to go backwards and it's never going to alleviate. So if you feel that pull where I don't need to work, I don't need the salary, I don't need to continue to save money, I wish I had more time to do X, Y, and Z, that feeling is only going to grow and become more prominent in your life. And if you're feeling that push right now, it is a great reason why hanging your working shoes up and retiring could be extremely beneficial, because that pull of time versus money is only going to compound and become greater. Reason number 2 is you find yourself evaluating your own mortality more often. And I see this happen when there is a death in the family, whether it's a parent, uncle, aunt, relative, old classmate. Many of my clients come to me and they go, Derek, retirement's becoming more valuable. I think I really want to retire now. And it's got nothing to do with the financial side of their life and more to do with an experience they just went through, specifically somebody important to them passing away. And that experience forcing them to look at their own mortality in more depth. And it goes back to the first point, which is valuing time more than money. Well, when you evaluate your own mortality and how much time you have left on this earth, it makes things that otherwise weren't as important years ago far more important today, especially when you compare it to your job and your career and earning more money and saving more money for retirement, where you look at how much time you have left. And for some people, that could be decades. Other people may think they have far less time available to them. And you really start to prioritize things in your life above and beyond your job and above and beyond money. And again, that's something too, where once you start thinking about that, it doesn't go backwards. It only compounds and it only becomes greater and more powerful as a reason to retire and move on and do stuff that is more important, or focus your time and attention on things that are more important than your life. So if you find yourself experiencing a death in your family or with a friend or with a relative or with a classmate that you known a long time ago, and you take that death and you find yourself reflecting more on your mortality in the time you have left, that is a big signal that maybe retirement is something that you should jump on sooner than later. And then finally, the third thing is, or the third reason why retirement could be something that you need to consider sooner than later, is when your identity starts to shift away from I am my career, I am my job, to I am a bunch of other things that are now more important than that job and career. And the test I like to use for a lot of people is when you introduce yourself to somebody new in a social setting and they ask you, what do you do for a living? In your earlier days, you were probably somebody who said, I am an account executive or an executive at X, Y, and Z company. I do this. This is how I spend my time. But just notice as you get older and as work becomes less important in your life, you get asked that same question and you may, simply say, I do X, Y, and Z, but then follow it up with, but I also am a father and a grandfather or a grandmother or a mother. And I also like to do X, Y, and Z hobby. And during my free time, I also spend more of my time and attention doing this and that. That distinction between your job and your hobbies and the people who are important to you, that will continue to grow and grow. And when you find yourself thinking about and talking about more of the other things in life outside of your job and outside of your career, that is a huge signal that says now is the time to lean into that. And if you financially are able to retire, so you can focus more of your time and attention on those other things. And so you're not as beholden to a time clock or your job or the responsibilities that come with that. Because if in your mind you are already making that shift of, I am a father, I am a grandfather, I am a person who loves to do X, Y, and Z, which are hobbies, and your identity is becoming less about the job you have and the responsibilities you are beholden to because of that job, that is a great signal that retiring now is going to be really beneficial. Because again, that gap in identity between you and your career versus you and who you are as a person and the time you want to spend with your loved ones doing the things that you care about and enjoy outside of your career is only going to widen. And that friction, as it widens, is only going to cause you more stress and consternation. So if you're somebody who has wrapped up everything in the financial side of your life and you feel really good and you've done the planning and you understand with a tremendous amount of confidence that yes, you can retire, but you just can't find the ability within yourself to pull that retirement trigger and finally give yourself a retirement date, look for the 3 reasons we just got done talking about as potential guiding lights to pull that retirement trigger, hang it up, and move on with that second act in life. Because if you find yourself experiencing any of those 3 things we just got done talking about, no, they're not going to go away. And the push of retirement because of those 3 things is only going to continue to grow and compound. And if you can take advantage of retirement earlier and focus your attention more on the things that are becoming more important in your life now, instead of your job and earnings and saving more for retirement, when that's not something you need to do to create a viable retirement long term, lean into it, retire, even if you think you don't have the ability to do so because you're too young or you have too much stuff going on at work or your identity is too wrapped up with your job and career now. Doing it earlier is going to provide you with far better quality of life than waiting later because you can't get time back once it's gone. Again, my name is Derek Delaney. I'm a certified financial planner. Retirement planning for a single flat fee is something I do for my clients in a holistic way. So if you're somebody on the fence trying to determine whether you should retire, whether you should go part-time, whether you can afford to retire, or whether all those other things that are becoming more important in life are a strong signal that means you should retire and you want somebody to talk it through with, use the link below, schedule your free consultation, and I'd be happy to chat about how I help other clients who are in the similar situation make the right decision for them. Until that future conversation, happy retirement plan.